Welcome to the Mansfield Buzz and a special Monday edition. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Mansfield Buzz special edition. It is Monday and happy Columbus Day. So, one of my, John, before we get to you, one of the things I like to tell people is everybody should take time to go read the real story about Columbus and get to really know the history behind what a great person he was. I think over time, some people have written some things about Columbus that aren't necessarily true. So go read and determine for yourself. But welcome and happy Columbus Day. We're John Kiefer, and let me tell you why I'm doing this. I have a broadcast channel. John is a friend, and I'm not paid to do this today, but I do endorse him for the Tarrant County Precinct 7 Constable. And I thought it'd be a good idea since early voting starts October 21st, and of course, all the way through, and then you got Election Day on November 5th, that this would be a good time, kind of a overview to get to meet John. If you hadn't had a chance to meet him yet, here's your chance to talk to him a little bit, and also tell some stories. We're going to talk about what he wants to accomplish, and he's going to talk a little bit about experience. So, Mr. John Kiefer, welcome to the Mansfield Special Edition Buzz. How's that?
Thank you, Ernie. Thank you.
So I love these kind of broadcasts because this is one where we don't have that 10 list of questions. This is just a conversation between friends. And first of all, congratulations on your run.
Thank you.
And my first part of the discussion is, how's it been? What
It's
have
been
you
good.
learned, and what have you learned, and how fun has it been?
Well, it's had its up and downs, but right now I just feel a total just peace. Right now I'm just totally at peace. I don't feel anxious, excited. I feel that I've done everything I could do. I got little bit more to finish it out, but I gave it my best shot, and we're just going to see what happens.
And
But
I know, yeah, I know a lot of people taking the signs I've had and took them home and put them in their yard. You'll probably see those around the area. But one thing that a lot of people get confused, John, is when they're looking at voting and maps and precincts and districts and all that stuff. Where am I located, right? So, can you tell us a little bit about Precinct 7? What are the boundaries, if you don't mind?
yeah, so it has to be inside Tarrant County. You got Mansfield. You have half of Arlington. If you go up 360 all the way to Abrams, and then it goes back west towards Cooper, and then it starts making its way down south towards Interstate 20. Then it goes back further west, and it kind of goes down. It encompasses Kennedale, the Rendon area, and parts of Burleson all the way to 35. And then we also have Grand Prairie that's in Tarrant County as well.
Yeah, so it's a fairly large precinct, actually, I think, and so you should know what precinct you're in, and so notice that people live in precinct 7 can vote for John Kiefer for constable. Okay, it's that simple. That's what it'll be on the ballot, and I encourage everybody to do that. So, John, some people like to deal with experience and expertise, right? You've been in law enforcement for how long?
I've been 33 years. 33 years. I started in 1991 with the Tarrant County Sheriff's Office. I spent 22 years working there. And then in 2013, I transferred over to the constable's office, where I worked until 2023 when I retired. When I started at the constable's office, I started at the deputy level, deputy constable, And when I retired as the chief deputy there.
Yeah, so 33 years of experience and expertise, which leads us to why are you doing this?
Well,
So, hey, so tell us a story first about why you even are running, because I think it's pretty cool.
well, that's funny you asked that because when you were doing the introduction, I thought about opening up with that. So this was not something I was seeking. I was talking to the incumbent that lost in 2020, Clint Burgess, on the phone, and I was wishing him luck and for the upcoming election. And he goes, I don't necessarily know if I'm going to run for a constable again because I got my eyes on running for state rep. But he goes, if I don't run, are you interested in running? And to have that opportunity, I didn't hesitate. I said yes immediately. Um, because it was something I was missing in my life. I currently work for Mansfield ISD PD, which is a very honorable job working at the school, especially the elementary school I'm working at, protecting the kids and the teacher. And it's very rewarding every day I go to work. And it's just, I'm surrounded by these kids that just love you being there. But I'm missing that fulfillment of being in an office when you come from being a chief deputy and overseeing all of operations. You kind of miss that. You miss being involved in the changes, the growth, and everything else, and being in a position where you can give back to the community, and then leaving a legacy behind as well. So that's all these things compiled up. When I was asked if I was interested, I was like, absolutely, I am. Um, After
So,
I decided I was going to run for constable, I was told I wasn't a big Facebook guy. I was told, you got to get your Facebook page, you got to get your website page, you
yeah,
got to do all this stuff. And I hit the ground running, really not knowing what I was doing because I had a primary opponent that I had to face in March.
right. There you
So
go.
one of the first things, one of the first things I did was once I created my Facebook page, I was like, how can I was thinking, how can I market myself? How am I going to do this? And I came across Mansfield Networking. And I said to myself, I'm not a business, but I'm marketing myself. And I sent y'all the information about me and what I was doing, and y'all accepted me with open arms. Um, and that's where that friendship was bonded from from the very beginning. And I will tell anybody that wants the network, Mansfield Networking is a place to be. And I just can't believe the support that I've gotten from y'all, and just how things have happened and rolled. I've gotten so much support from the precinct chairs, from former people that ran for office. The amount of support within the community just been outpouring for
And
me. But
and you
anyway, started the
you
ground running, um, trying to figure out how to do this. Not, no, I mean, just working my way through the process, and we won the primary. I got very blessed with winning the primary. I was able to get on. I was on the green card, which I interviewed for that. It was like a 1 hour interview, close to 1 hour interview. Um, got on the green card. Was on the Fort Worth Patriot Pack. Was on the Texas True Project list. Was on the link letter. Um, every sample ballot I was on, and that helped tremendous during the primary.
and you were just featured in Star Telegram. I saw the article today, I believe.
Yeah.
So word's getting out. So one of the things I think people, and we'll get into more why you wanted, what you're looking to do, but uh, just people see these what look like law enforcement cars go by, but it says constable on the side, and that is law enforcement, by the way, but it says constable. And I know I think what most people think what constable's office do, but kind of review with us if you don't mind, kind of what their operational duties are in a precinct like this.
So in the state of Texas, there's only two law enforcement agencies that have the authority to enforce both criminal and civil. And here in Tarrant County, the sheriff's office, who has that authority, along with the constable's office, they don't have a civil division where they go out and serve civil process papers. So that responsibility falls on the constable's office here in Tarrant County, and we have 8 precincts. But we also do other stuff as well as far as serving civil process papers. We go out and enforce traffic laws. We arrest on criminal warrants, and if we come across any criminal activity, we act upon it.
So you're law enforcement total and with the main function. But I think what's really cool is you have a keen eye for, at least based on our conversations we've had. And I wanted to thank you for mentioning the Mansfield Network Group. It does meet every Wednesday, 12 noon at Dirty Job Brewing. But you have a keen eye for operational stuff. Uh, you've done some pretty cool stuff with different operation offices, right? In the last 33 years, can you kind of go into some detail, what you see and what you're trying to accomplish?
Well, for one thing, when people think about the constable's office, I would like for them to know exactly what we do.
Yeah, that would be a good thing.
So that would be getting more out in the community. One of the things I will tell people that we're probably in the community more than any other local law enforcement agency, because we're walking apartment complexes, we're driving through the neighborhoods. We're actually probably more in the neighborhoods or in apartment complexes than any other municipality. So we are visible, um, but we need to do a better job about getting the people acquainted with what we do. And I hope to do that. I really want to forge a better community relationship with the people, and being more vocal and being public about what we're doing. But the first year I'm in office, a lot of the 3 things I want to accomplish is, number one, I want to have a hiring board. I want to establish a hiring board where I can eliminate myself as much as I can from the hiring process and put the people in place entrusted with doing the right thing. And number one, it starts out with somebody that's trained and has a certification in doing background investigations, and then putting people together. So when we do hire somebody, they're hired based on their experience and their merit and training and what they can bring to the department and to the community. And I want to be transparent with that. So every time we hire somebody, I want to introduce them to the community. This is this person's qualification. This is what they're going to bring to the people. This is what they plan on bringing to the office, and be proud of the people we're bringing in. That's important to me. I want to be transparent immediately with that. Another thing is, you never hear my opponent talking about quality and efficient service. When I worked my way up, I started as a deputy constable. I worked a district serving civil process papers. I later became a sergeant where I oversaw, operations in the field. And I later became a chief deputy overseeing the whole operation of the department. But you never hear her talk about efficient quality service. And when we get a court paper, it's important that we do due diligence and we get on it right away, and not let it sit around in our cars, or go without any endeavors or service like that. So, and that's important. When you got people paying for a service, you got courts issuing papers. They want those papers issued. They don't want you out doing other things that you're not supposed to be doing, but they want you working on the papers. And then the last thing I want to do is bring community safety. Um, the safety side, I'm out talking to voters, and one of the main concerns with the voters is safety. And some of them raise concern safety with the open borders. Some of them raise concern safety with the fentanyl, the drugs in our community. Some of them raise safety with just the economics, and with the direction our community is turning. So, and that will impact our training. I want to elevate our type of training that we're doing at the constable's office. I also want to be able to forge working relationships with the local agencies so we can inherit their trust to respond to emergency crisis, and they'll know that we'll be able to do exactly what they need us to do. So that's important as well.
Yeah. So I was about 5, 6 months ago. Um, I was walking my car complex about, I would say, 7:30, 8ish in the morning, and a constable pulled into our apartment complex and was going to an apartment and ended up parking further down, and I would just happen to pass him on a walk and he was getting out of his car. I said, "Good morning. How are you doing?" And he said, "Great." And I said, "Do you know John Kiefer?" And he went, "Who?" So I went, "Okay, I'm just going to keep walking, no big deal." And so I find out, so we're at dinner, me and you, that night,
Right.
and a text comes in or a
Hmm.
phone call. And so this guy's a friend
Right.
of yours, and he was messing with me. That was funny.
Right.
So anyhow, I didn't know what to think. I was going, "Who? Who?
Who's that? Who?
Who's that?" So yeah.
You're like, is John really who he says he is? Does he, did he actually really work at the constable's office? They don't even
No,
know
he
here.
just looked so dumbfounded when I said it. I just didn't know what to say. I was kind of like, "What?"
You're right.
I go, "Well, I guess he didn't know him." Then I come to find out he was messing with me. So that's pretty funny. So
Well,
anyhow,
one of the most things that I'm really starting to enjoy about this election process is getting out and talking to the people. Um,
yeah,
I actually feel comfortable with doing that. It took me a little bit, but it also brought me back to where I'm just having a conversation with people and asking them. I tell them about my experience, what I currently do for a living right now. Um, and then we just start, I ask them what their concerns are about today's economy, what their concerns when they go into the polls and vote. And it's really interesting um, what they say. And it's a lot of stuff that I stand for and I represent. But it's just like yesterday, I was in Grand Prairie, block walking. I was over in between Claremont and Interstate 20 and walking those neighborhoods and talking to people. And one guy, he goes, I moved from Georgia. I lived in this house for 4 years. He goes, "You're the first candidate that ever came knocking on my door." And we had a really good conversation. He's retired military. And when I left, he goes, "You got my vote." In fact, he said, "You got mine and my wife's vote." So, but I was, it's very encouraging when you go out and talk to people and they're very perceptive and they want to listen. And, and that's, it's encouraging for me that
yeah,
you get that response.
yeah. And I think that makes one feel real good. DFW film crew. James is listening or watching. He's driving to Frisco, but he had time to stop and pull over and chat. And he says, John Keeper is as genuine as it gets. He will do very well in our community as Tarrant County Precinct 7 Constable. You will win. So there you go. James, man, we love James. So
You know,
that's cool.
what a lot of people that we're out there talking to people, and I'm talking about the difference, because I have experience both in criminal and civil. And what people don't realize is criminal and civil is fundamentally different, totally two different things. But I am blessed to have experience in both. Not many law enforcement people do, and that I carry with me, and I carry proudly that I have that experience. And I tell people when I'm talking to them, when I'm out serving civil process papers, on most occasions, no one ever committed a crime. We're just there serving a court order, and sometimes we don't know the story behind that court order, and we got to have empathy and compassion for that person because we don't always know what they're going through on the other side of that door. And when I tell the story about people might have an alcohol or drug addiction, they may have a loss of a job or income, it could be going through a divorce, a custody battle for their kid, loss of a loved one where you're there serving a probate paper. You just really don't know why you're there. And you got to have that empathy, even evicting somebody. I got a text message this morning from one of the guys who works at the constable's office. They had a barricaded person this morning at 7 o'clock. And then after that was resolved, they had a person refusing to open the door on a writ of possession. The writ of possession is where you're serving an eviction, and the eviction process went through the court proceedings. The plaintiff won the eviction. The person is still refusing to move, so the plaintiff has to go file for another court order, which is a writ of possession. Well, a writ of possession is instructing the deputy to take possession of the property. And you go and knock on these doors, and sometimes you have to use force of entry to get in, and you never know what's waiting for you on the other side. But again, it's just as times get harder in this economy, I was told that the writ of possessions are up a lot. That means people are refusing to move. It used to be they would see it all the way through court, through the eviction process, and once the process was over, and if they lost in court, they would usually move. There was a few that wouldn't, that we would have to go out on, but it's becoming a lot more, and it just is becoming, it's becoming more dangerous. And
Yeah.
it's sad. It's sad that we're headed that direction.
So, John, is the constable's revenue stream based on growth in population? Because I've seen increases, right, in based on what's being said, but at the same time, wouldn't revenue go up automatically based on population? So, because we're in a growth mode, correct?
It is. So what most people aren't privy to is the constable's office actually generates revenue. It generates revenue from the fees that's collected from the serving process papers, and the fees naturally goes up as the population increases with your multifamily housing, your apartments, new homes. Um, it increases the paper, so naturally the fees will go up. It has nothing to do with how the office is performing because you can't shop for a constable. You have to
That's
go.
a good way to say it. Never heard it
Right.
that way. That's funny. Okay.
Yeah, you're not competing with anybody else in your precinct to go out and serve these civil process papers because you got process servers that can go out and serve papers, but they're very limited to what they can serve. But that's where, again, my opponent never talks about it because she doesn't have the experience. She's never worked a district. She never served papers. She doesn't understand the process of it. But the quality and efficient service, why it's so important. The efficiency of the office. You got to be efficient. You have to be able, or you get buried. You got to be able to stay on top of your district, and you got to and you also be able to manage the people that are working in the district to not allow a deputy to get buried in papers.
And so I would also think that goes back to some of the experience you have with your 33 years, right? Is you get to see both sides of that fence. You've been at doors, right? You also understand the paperwork side, the organizational side. Some cool things you did. One thing we had talked about, I think, on a previous broadcast was you had learned how to merge some systems together to better organize, which is really important, right?
Right.
for time, for staff, for people. What exactly was that? Can you go back through that quickly for us?
Right. So when I first came over there, I came over with a wealth of experience working in narcotics, being a patrol deputy, just law enforcement in general. And the constable, Clint Burgess, who was there, wanted me out doing criminal interdiction, including working a district with papers. But he wanted me out there, doing criminal interdiction. We had, hitting the hotels in our precincts and stuff like that, which is stuff I did in narcotics. And we were pretty successful in doing it. I had a good group of guys that behind me that worked with me. But when I came over, they didn't have a good reporting system. They didn't have the reporting system they had was just a Word document that they made up. It wasn't a professionally looking, report writing system. And another thing that they didn't have a way where they could file cases electronically. They were still hand carrying cases to the DA's office, which was by then obsolete. So one of the first things I did, I was a deputy, so I had to work with my sergeant and the chief, but we got a hold of the DA's office and I kept pushing for TechShare. TechShare is where we can electronically file cases with the DA's office. And that was a big improvement. But we also needed something to help us with our reports. I took initially I used a report type system that I initially used in narcotics on Word, but later at the sheriff's office we got a system called RMS. RMS is called Record Management System. With a lot of agencies use that now. It's a it's a database collecting system, but it also allows you to write reports and everything else. Everything you put in there, names, addresses, everything, it collects that data. So if you're working on something and it can auto populate things that's been already in there, it's very, very good for investigations as well. But so I contacted the sheriff's IT, and which is not part of Tarrant County. They have their own IT division, but I knew that the guy that led that division over there, he's a civilian. And I talked to him and I said, "Hey, is there any way we can get this RMS system at our office?" At the time, as far as I knew, we were the only ones out there really doing any criminal investigations and filing reports and cases with the DA's office. And he installed it. We got a couple desktops that was installed with the RMS system. And the only thing we couldn't do is we couldn't pull a service number, a report number, because if we pulled a report number with the RMS, it would flag it to the CID division at the sheriff's office. So we didn't have our own reporting system with numbers that was dedicated to ours yet. But we were going live with RMS and we were using it. And it was working out great. And I also used it later as a chief to help us track and log evidence coming into the office. It has a function where you can do that as well. But we went from filing cases at the DA's office electronically, having a professional way to do our reports on the reporting system, and then the county later purchased a software called Civil Serve. And Civil Serve is all the precincts have it. Not all use it, but all have it. It's a way to streamline information on your civil process papers. And before I left, we were implementing Civil Serve and getting everybody on board with using it, and everybody liked it in my department. Some departments didn't like it, but it's very good with going back and looking. So they can basically track everything you're doing live. But again, it's only worth the information you're putting in it. So as the deputies are out there trying to serve the civil process papers, when they get back to their car, they get on their computer, they enter the information in, and it goes straight into the civil serve. And if the secretaries in the office get a call, they can go, well, let me look it up. And they can say, oh, the deputy was just there about an hour ago. This was what happened. So it's a good system, and it does a lot of other stuff as well for management point of view. But it's a really good system, and I'm excited to get back and relearning it
Yeah.
and putting it to use.
Yeah, because one of your goals was efficiency. So if you'll sit tight for a second, James at DFW Film Crew was kind enough to go out and do some shoots for you. So if you'll sit tight, I'm actually going to surprise you with one of his videos. So everybody
Okay.
sit tight. I'm getting ready to show it right now. Maybe you can comment on it when it's over, okay?
Hi, I'm Lee Freeman, and I'm voting for John Kiefer because of his experience and his integrity.
My name is Rochelle Brooks. I live in Mansfield, and I'm happy to be supporting John Kiefer for Precinct 7 Constable.
My name is Irving Romero. My family and I are supporting John Kiefer for Tarrant County Constable, Precinct 7. También le quiero aconsejar a la familia y al pueblo latino que apoya a John Kiefer para Constable del Condado de Tarrant, Precinto número 7. Gracias.
I endorse John Kiefer for Constable for Tarrant County. He's one of the best in Mansfield.
I'm John Kiefer, and I'm running for Tarrant County Constable at Precinct 7. I want you to vote for me. Early voting starts October 21st, and actual voting day is on November 5th. Thank you.
There you go. So tell me a little bit about that, because that's pretty cool that you that James was able to go out and get some of those folks. Did you know those folks or
I do. Each one of them I knew, and I reached out to and asked if they would be willing to help me. And that's a hard thing to do because
Sure.
When you start talking politics, it's one thing that you put yourself out there.
Yeah.
But now you're asking other people to do it as well. And but they all happily did it and wish they could do more. But the first lady, Lee Freeman, she's a dear friend of mine. Her husband and I worked together for many years, and it's unfortunate, but he passed away from lymphoma cancer. And when I first realized I was going to run for constable, one of the first things I did is I dedicated my campaign to him. I dedicated my campaign to him and all the first responders and military personnel. Ed and Lee are both outstanding people. Ed was a 20-year veteran in the Marine Corps, and he was just an outstanding person. And he when you talk about public servant, he probably, other than Jesus Christ, I mean, he was a dedicated public servant in every way.
Awesome.
And then I'm trying to think who is Rochelle Brooks. She is really big in the conservative movement. She's really working hard during this election, trying to get Donald Trump reelected, Ted Cruz, local politicians or people running for office. She's really pushing hard behind the scenes and helping people. And when we reached out to her, and that, she's like, absolutely, I'll help you any way I can. And Rochelle Brooks is, she lives here in Mansfield. And like I said, she's a strong conservative and believe in conservative values. And then Irving Romero was my primary opponent.
Yeah. There you go.
When I started learning a little bit about my primary opponent, I had no idea who he was. And I didn't even know that he was a deputy constable up in Precinct 1. And I started asking around. They go, yeah, well, he works at Precinct 1, and he's got many hours of training, and he's a viable candidate by all means. And I made a point that whatever I did during my campaign, I wasn't going to be negative. I wasn't going to try to attack anybody because that's
not
to
you.
me, yeah, because
Not you.
yeah, yeah, because whenever for me, that's out of character. That's not something I
Right.
do anyway.
Exactly.
So that it just would have backfired on me because it's not who I am.
Right.
But I got to meet Irving through the process. And even before the primary was over, we would go to events together. And I remember our first event where I met him and we both were speaking. I went up to Irving and introduced myself and we shook hands and I said, I just want you to know that if I lose, you will have my endorsement. You know, you have my endorsement. And it was vice versa. Because by then I had learned enough about him that I thought he was a viable candidate, and he was a great guy. I never heard everything I heard about him was outstanding. You know, he was a great guy. So, and and if I get elected, which I'm not ashamed to say, or you know, I'm not trying to hide it. You know, like I said, I want to eliminate myself from the process as much as I can. But he can bring. So he's a firearms instructor. He's a TCO instructor. He's certified to do background investigations. He's somebody that we need at the office because I want to build it up. I want to build it at the professional level at that office. I want to take it to another level. I want to take it to another step. And we have some good qualified people there already. We have a good firearm instructor that's there, but he's not going to be there for long because he plans on retiring. So I got to work on who am I going to build up behind him? Who am I going to put in his place? And when you talk about firearm instructor, TCO instructor, all that's important to have in place. So right now, right away, I'll look at bringing him in to help me with all that stuff and getting him on board. And then the last lady, Elizabeth Liu, she's a school teacher for Mansfield ISD. And she's a great lady. She works with the pre-K kids, and I have nothing but good things to say about her. She's been in Mansfield for many years, and she's embedded in the community and working for the school.
So, John, you'd mentioned at the beginning, before we wind down here a little bit, that you have worked about as hard as you can work at this. You've done everything within your physical power. You know, you've gone to lots of functions. You've shook a lot of hands. You've been knocking on doors. You've done everything that I think somebody needs to do to accomplish this goal. I feel very positive about starting October 21st on early vote through November 5th, right? That you're in a good position, and I know you have a lot of support. So, how are you right now today feeling about all this?
Like I said at the beginning, I have just this overall peace. I have my last event that I plan on doing was last Thursday here in Mansfield at the Ancora location. It's off of Broad Street. It's I was up there with David Cook, Sheriff Wayborn, and Judge, one of the judges in Tarrant County. But
Well,
I just want to say I felt very relaxed, and for the first time doing an event, I felt very relaxed, and it just I just have this calming peace. It's hard to explain, but
I remember standing next to your pickup truck with you at Market Street about a week ago. You were leaning against your truck. I was leaning against my car, and I said, "John, how you doing?" He said, "Hey, you know, it is what it is. We're ready to do it. I'm at the point now where I just want to chill back and let things take care of themselves. And you look like you're a guy that's ready to go to work. And also at the same time, you've done everything you need to do. So awesome. Yay.
yeah, we're just on the home stretch. Got to go out and work the polls, and just continue this weekend. coming up, I'll be out talking to people again, and which is something I'm starting to enjoy.
Well, yeah, and like I said, yeah, you've grown some skills that that are a little different or not quite what you have done in the past. I mean, you get along with people great, but the fact you're shaking hands for a reason, to run for something's pretty cool, and that's a hard adjustment. I don't think people realize, you're stepping outside your personality when you start asking people for help to do stuff. It's kind of cool. So anyhow, I've got his website down here. If you guys want to donate or go check him out some more and read on his website, it's John Kiefer for Constable.net. I would highly recommend you go check out the website. I'll put a link in the description for the archive show. And just to remind you, it is for John Kiefer for Tarrant County Precinct 7 Constable. And with that said, did that video surprise you a little bit? I thought that was kind of cool. We could plug that into the live stream. I had no idea how that worked. I'm glad it did. James fills stuff at a very high quality, and I didn't know how the frame rate would play out on the stream, but it came out really good. So let me
I was surprised you played, but I was actually glad that you did.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of help, and it's hard to name everybody, but between you, Jordan Huff, James Klein in the technical areas, because I'm not technically savvy. I'll tell you that now. But Jordan actually created a business Facebook site for me, and we're pushing ads. And I'm looking at the metadata all the time, and we're pushing that one video, and it seems to be doing really well.
Good.
It seems to be doing really well, along with the 18-second short, and then we got another 30-second video that seems to be doing well also.
Yeah, I'll be posting. I've got them all, and I'll be pushing those out for you now as we get really close to this first early voting coming up in a week or less, or a week. Yeah, October 21st is right around the corner. Hard to believe.
Next Monday.
Next Monday start, or I will be there early voting, just so you know. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll get you a T-shirt and you can help me pass out the.
I'll meet you. Are you going to go down to the main office on Broad Street there and be hanging out? Because that's where I'll go if you like.
Yeah, that's where I'll be at Broad Street. I'll
bring us a Dr. Pepper or water or something, and we'll just and I'll hang out with you and pass out some stuff. So. Cool.
Yeah, I'll be there first thing in the morning to vote. The polls open at 8 and they close at 5 during the first week.
I'll see you there.
That's the only time I'll be able to be there the first week because I'm actually working. At my job.
We'll make arrangements. Maybe we can fill in some of those gaps for you while you're not there that day. But I'll see you next Monday for sure on that. I'll be there. I will be there. So anyhow. John, thank you. You know what I like to do, because we're kind of casual today.
What's that?
It's just some out. Yeah, just get a little huffy here. All right, so this is that peaceful, relaxed music that you're supposed to be feeling right now. So
for some reason, when you first started playing it and you hear the bells or something at the very beginning, I thought it was Thriller from Michael Jackson.
No, I can't play that. Not allowed to use that kind of copyright from that past artist.
I was like, okay, this Halloween we're gonna listen to Thriller.
Yeah, I would get some civil paper served to me for that, just so you know. Okay. For sure. Anyhow, voting for John Kiefer for Tarrant County Precinct 7 Constable, and I hope you guys have gotten to know him a little bit today. We'll keep an archive of this, John, and we'll get it out so you can start sharing it. Make sure everybody go vote starting October 21st and get your vote in, and make sure you vote for this guy. He'll do a great job for this community in Precinct 7. John, have a good day.
Thank you, Herdy. You too.
All right, bye.